Hi, welcome to HIP, your home improvement podcast by Lima Kitchens. This podcast explores topics to do with home renovations, updates, and kitchen design.
Let's be a bit buzzwordy today.
Okay.
And I want to ask you a question. And that question is, what do you think, as a designer with personal experience in a design, but also a person having a kitchen, what should everyone have in their kitchen?
Okay, my list starts with a steam oven.
If
for
your budget
steam
allows
cooking.
it. Yes, let's put a disclaimer. Steam cooking.
Steam cooking, a cooker boiling water tap,
Okay.
a vented hob, and a space tower.
Right.
And as many drawers as possible, as your budget will allow.
Yes. Okay. So can you tell me something more about the steam ovens? Because I haven't got one. So I've just heard the sales pitch, but I have no personal experience with it.
So when I first got my steam oven, I have to confess, I probably didn't use it for around 18 months because I didn't know what I was doing with it. And then one day I thought to myself, this is absolutely ridiculous. And just started cooking in it and had a little bit of a trial and error. And you kind of work out from recipes how to do things and how you like them to be done as well. So the first thing that I'll say with a steam oven is you can do anything that you could do on your steamer on the hob or in an electric steamer on the work surface. So anything from veg or fish, you can do that. But you can then also use the solid base trays and use it like a rice cooker as well. So you can steam your rice and it comes out exactly the same every time. No attention, no pan boiling over, no kind of, is it cooked, isn't it cooked? It just comes out perfect, ready to serve. But you can also add in all of your flavourings and seasoning, your vegetables. So if you're doing risotto, mushroom risotto, you can just throw that in there and leave it to do its thing, pop your parmesan and herbs over the top at the end. So that's one of the things I really like. Additionally, you can do things like steam roast. So you get really fluffy potatoes or really moist meat, but crispy on the outside.
Wait, so that's added steam or full steam?
Added steam.
Added
so there's
steam,
two things.
yes.
So your full steam is where you'd need to steam rice or fresh pasta, vegetables, fish.
So that's where your oven is kind of like a boiling pot of water.
Yeah, so you've got your
anything you
steam
can boil,
cavity at 100
yeah.
degrees in there.
Yeah.
And then you've got the combination, which I always recommend just go full out. So you've got full versatility for the price difference. Personally, it's a big investment anyway. So that extra 10%, you get in a lot more versatility on it. Also, it's a lot easier to clean those dishes, putting them in the dishwasher and not having to clean down the hob as well from the steam oven. But with the combination, when you start to introduce the oven with the fan, with the steam, you then get the steam roasting. So that's the roast potatoes, that's the meat remaining nice and moist, no shrinkage.
Yeah.
And as I say, crispy on the outside. So I've never been able to make pork crackling, but I've done that in my steam oven and everyone commented how amazing it was. I don't eat it myself, so I don't know, but everyone said it was really good. Pork crackling was really good on the
Nice.
steam roasting. But moving on from that as well, I didn't have a microwave when I first got my steam oven.
Yeah.
So reheating was something that I needed to do in the steam oven as well. So rather than pinging it for a minute, or if you've got a ready meal or you're reheating food from last night, or you've got a shepherd's pie or lasagna that you've cooked and you've still got it in the tray and you want to put that back in for the family, you can put it into the steam oven and it rejuvenates the food. So rather than drying it out in the same way that a microwave would, it uses the steam to keep it moist and keep that sauce in there and bring it back to life rather than simply heating it. With the additional benefit that you still all sit down and eat at the same time, rather plate after plate.
Nice.
as well. So there's quite a few different things that you can do.
Pros
with
on
that.
pros is
Yeah. So you don't necessarily need the microwave. You can have a smaller hob. You can have more flexibility. So with the venting hob, you get your 2 to 4 zones depending on the size of the pot that you're cooking from. And a lot of people feel that they need more hob space rather than less. So thinking being restricted to those 4 can be uncomfortable. But then if you're utilizing the functions that you've got in your oven as well, you need less space on the hob anyway. So those two kind of go hand in hand in my opinion.
I have find some clients are quite unsure about vented hobs because obviously your extractor is so small and it's right there. So they're like, oh, how, efficient is that going to be? It's so efficient. We have one in the showroom. I love demonstrating it.
It is really efficient. And when you demonstrate it, what are the kind of things that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I usually, so obviously I talked to them about the dripping trays, etc. But just how quick it is.
The drip trays are where it catches all of the food.
Yes.
So if you're a messy cook like me and you end up with bits of rice and pasta and peas and all of those things in there, it catches it.
Yeah.
And you can just throw it away really easily and conveniently.
Yes. It's easy to pull out. You show them like the filters, how easy they are to replace or put in the dishwasher. But my favorite bit is like to put it on boost and boil a pot of water and just show how the steam just goes like in immediately. And people are so surprised. It's always like, oh, wow. Yeah, it really goes. And 9.5 out of 10 times it's a yes, we'll have that. So it's life-changing, isn't it?
It is.
In a way.
The small things. I've got the vented hob at home. I've got a really open plan kitchen dining area with an open staircase. So as soon as I start cooking anything with garlic or curries or fish, if I'm pan frying fish, that goes straight upstairs and it goes straight into where my clothes are. So I need something that's going to clear that. So when you switch on those vented hobs, they come on immediately. The motor starts running and starts clearing. And then with the 9 levels plus your boost, it really does draw out those odors. When I did get it, I did have a little bit of an issue with it, and that was because I kept opening my Velux windows above the hob, which interfered with the efficiency of the hob. So closing those windows in winter, I realized that the hob was doing exactly what it should, and when I'm cooking, I need to keep those windows above shut to get optimal efficiency from it. I also want to kind of add in that I've not ducted this out. This is a recirculating system that's just going through carbon filters to clean the air and blowing it back out. So with ducting of hobs, you lose efficiency every time you've got a bend. So you come out of the hob, you've got a bend, you've then got nearly a meter down, you've then got another bend. And then you've got a few meters to get to the outside. Then you've got another bend and then another bend. So each time you're reducing the efficiency of the ducting. And in my case, it just made no sense to go down that route and to look at the recirculating, which modern day recirculation is miles apart from what most people currently have in their home as a ducted extractor.
So sometimes recirculation can be a lot more efficient than
100%.
ducting out if your hob is especially in the middle of the room or somewhere really far from an outside wall. And I think that's another stopper for clients who are so used to these giant clunky pyramid extractors, sort of 90 pounds the piece, that just have to duct straight out or nothing happens. But yeah, technology has moved on quite a bit. What else was on the list?
Kuka boiling water taps.
Ooh.
And I do drop the brand because my experience is that they are the most efficient. They do get to 100 degrees. They are coming out of the tap at 100 degrees, which is hotter than coming out of an actual kettle. And by the time it's off the boil and you're pouring, it's already reducing in heat. Whereas with the Kuka tap, it is at that temperature. Additionally, having had other brands in my own home, it's a lot less noisy having the cooker, and they also back up their product with a service, which other tap manufacturers don't do. So I think the fact that they want to offer that service and that guarantee, they're not just sending out parts, and they have a service team. So just like you'd service the motor of your car, you can service your cooker as well, and it is recommended. They're offering that to make sure it lasts a lifetime and continues to work, and that they are prepared to look into what the issues are if there are any that arise. So I think that as a brand, that's a brand that people should be investing in. I know that there are ones that are less money in the market. We have been there as a company as well, and I'm going to say 95% of other brands have all been replaced with cookers over the course of 2 to 5 years. So you're then buying twice potentially. So buying a product that's being backed by the manufacturer is something to take into consideration, I think, really.
It also helps that they have a very clean and pretty design as well. A lot of boiling water taps on the market can look quite clunky, and there's a lot of like additional sprouts and like other wires and things that make things look a bit more complicated. Very, I'd say more American style kitchen type of thing. They usually have those massive taps, don't they? More often than not. But cooker have like a very sleek sort of one sprout design. So
you've got that. You've got the swan necks. You've got the squares. They now have the front, which is kind of a upside down L, for want of a better description. They have the hoses, which have a counterbalance on there, so you don't get some of the inherent problems that you typically get with spray hoses kind of fraying over time. That lasts a really long time as well. So they've thought about that. If you want to have the boiling water separate, you can. If you want it in the same tap, you can. They have matching things like the soap dispensers. So if it's on an island, you can keep the space really tidy. You don't have to have your little soap dish and tray.
The little thing that goes. That's amazing for washing up liquid dispensing.
It is.
I think that's pretty cool because washing up liquid tends to, like soaps, for instance, sometimes now come in really nice packaging. Well, washing up liquid is usually not.
That's not got into the design.
Not a diss, but more often than not.
Yeah, and it's something that I didn't put in at mine, but we have at work in the showroom, and I think to myself, it's just one less thing I wouldn't have to clean around. It wouldn't be something else out on my work surface, and I've done all of these things and made all of these investments to keep this clear, low maintenance, non-fussy, and yet I've still got the soap on the side. So I think that's something that should be considered as well.
Yeah. Cooker taps are, again, one of these things where 9.5 out of 10 clients, even when they were a bit dubious at the start, like, oh, do we need that? Do we not need that? If they eventually decide to spend on that and invest in a cooker tap, I can't think of a single client who's been like, oh yeah, that wasn't really. Every single client says life-changing, amazing, I love it. I keep using the word life-changing. I am aware, just a little disclaimer, that life-changing is a big word, and I don't use it in the big word type of sense. I mean it in like your morning routine and like the sort of simple things you do around the house.
So one of the things, when I did my renovation, I was without a kitchen for 4.5 months. You're currently feeling this pain.
Yeah.
And I'd had a cooker tap, and I decided that I was going to get a new one. Sold the old one online and bought.
Retain their value.
They do. And there is a resale value on them, definitely. So I sold that one and bought a new one in the finish that I wanted and with all the function that I wanted on that tap. And that time where I didn't have the cooker tap, I reverted back to bad habits and drinking things that I'd gotten out of my kind of routine. So I'd gone back to like pop and, you know, I might just have a drink
instead of a glass of cold filtered water.
Although I'm only just adding that to my tap 4 years later because I had to save and push finances elsewhere. So even myself, I've
are aware.
Yeah. I need to forego something. That's going to be what I forego for the time being, and I'm adding that back in. But once that renovation was completed, I went back to drinking teas because it's just instant. I could just get up and grab it and sit back down. It wasn't a case of waiting for the kettle to boil. I've forgotten about it. I've got distracted, gone back and boiled it again. But also things on the hob. So if I'm making stock or gravy or anything,
how quick it is.
Very quick. And if I have done a roast, the boiling water with kind of your scrubby brush, washing up brush, the boiling water on there helps just loosen everything really quickly, again, without using any kind of chemicals or anything. So it clears really, really quickly. No need for soaking.
Yeah. I love that. Can we fill 20 minutes talking about a cooker tab? Probably.
just gonna put out there that we're not funded by Kuka.
Not sponsored.
It is just a product that we are really passionate about.
Yeah.
But they can be retrofitted as well. We have clients who come in and they're a little bit too far over budget, but we put the provisions in so that can be easily switched out at a later date.
If you want a cooker retrofitted, hit us up.
Yeah, indeed.
Moving on to the drawers, my personal favorite.
Yes.
Ergonomics, accessibility, looking nicer.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry, banging on. The Kuka tap is also good for people with accessible things.
You're obsessed.
I am obsessed. I have a real, I work for, I have my own business and it's not taps. But
could be.
It could be. But also people for accessibility, for people who can't hold a kettle, lift it.
Yes.
You've got a safety mechanisms in there as well, and you can retain independent living with it as well. Yeah. And even if you've got someone who perhaps can't do the double tap and twist, there are options, although they are custom order, to have a button to press. Nice. And this is something I've discovered recently, considering how to help someone who has early Parkinson's and how they retain some independence in their kind of living space. So those are other things that can be added to it to help as well. But going back to drawers, I'll let you speak for 5 seconds.
Thank you. Oh no, I don't know what to say. About drawers, what about
drawers? Drawers and ergonomics, you were saying.
They're great. Well, they're easy to reach, easy to access. You can store a lot more and you see everything when you pull out the drawer. Is there anything to say that people don't know? It's just so much better to have them than not have them. If you can afford it, of course. Having said that, cost of a drawer is about 3 times the one of the cupboard, the cost of a cupboard. So that is something to always keep in mind, because you do have the occasional client who's like, I want drawers everywhere. Fantastic. I'd love to do that for you. But also your kitchen's going to cost like 3 times the amount if you just have cupboards. And they're not just for, pots and pans. Just because it's a pan drawer doesn't mean it's just for pans. You can store your plates, you can store your mugs, you can store your spices, cans, cleaning products.
Rice, pastas.
Yes.
Serving dishes.
Yes.
Vases, alcohol.
Yes. You can put a nice pillow in there and open it up for your dog to be in the kitchen with you when you're there. Actually, great idea. I've never thought to do that. But yeah, because they hold up quite a bit of weight. Plus, you can reinforce them, and then you could just like sit in it yourself if you want to.
But they're not also restricted to kitchen utilization either. So within your utility room, so utility rooms are often overlooked and under thought about, which is something we will come on to
in a later the pin board, isn't it? We have a pin board now. I decided to point it out. Yes, it already has a few notes from last time.
Later episodes will come back to the utilities, but we can use drawers in there. You can use them. It's becoming more and more popular for understairs storage. Obviously, within the bedroom, we've got drawers, but thinking about how else you could utilize those as well. They're really good throughout the house, just making it accessible, helping with the organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I feel like we need to talk about utility rooms a bit more. But shall we make next episode about utility rooms?
I think
and
so.
My favorite word, bootilities. Is that actually the official term?
I'm going to say yeah. Bootility or mudroom. I think there's a slight crossover between the two, depending if you're in the countryside or in the city.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay.
I'm just thinking finally there's one more thing on my list.
Oh, yeah?
Vented. Do you not remember what that list is? If you want to remind me and want to hear anything about it, please do put it in the comments and we'll circle back to that, I think. Get it on that pin board.
Was there anything else?
What about
I'd like
you?
to add...
What about you?
Yes, thank you. Me time now. We have 35 seconds left and I'm going to fill it. I think I wanted to add to that. I've become a massive fan of the zeolith. Can I say that?
Yes.
Yeah, I can say that. Actually.
Yeah, actually, I really enjoy the
zeolith, for those who don't know, because it's most likely you would know, it's a function in dishwashers that, so it has this mineral called zeolith in it, which transfers moisture into heat, right?
Correct, without using additional energy.
Yes, exactly, without using additional energy. So basically, it creates this constant cycle of drying your plates without actually using energy. And you open it up and it's nice and sparkly clean, especially for glasses and things. I think that's fantastic.
Really good for plastics as well. They say it comes out about 90, I think it's 95% dry. I'm going to say maybe just a little bit less on some occasion. But it is something I use at home and I do throw all my plastics in there. So one of the things that people often say is I don't put my plastics in the dishwasher, which is why I still wash up. But you can do that with the zeolith as well. Nice.
I think a lot of people still sort of pre-rinse their dishes before putting them in the dishwasher as well.
Do they?
So, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a hard world. But because we were just, we're getting one now for the first time in my life. I'm going to have a dishwasher and I'm so stoked.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I feel like such an adult now. But my husband was like, oh, well, at the start he was like, is there a point in getting a dishwasher? Because we have to rinse everything for that as well. And I was like, what? In 2004, maybe, but nowadays.
Yeah, I tend to scrape it off. You've got a little filter for anything that remains.
Well,
and
obviously, don't put half a piece of cake in your dishwasher. Throw that in the bin.
Several peas. Peas is always the thing I revert back to. But also, when it does do a rinse cycle at the beginning, kind of like a pre-wash.
Yeah.
So it clears all of that off. So if you haven't rinsed it or you haven't rinsed it particularly well, you can do that. And it utilizes the rinse water from the cycle before to make it nice and efficient and economical.
Yeah.
Less wastage of water. So way more efficient than filling up a bowl of water as well. So good on the environment.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
We're both clearly overexcited.
I'm so excited now.
There's one more thing that I think is really overlooked, but maybe we'll come back to that in a different
is it the fridge?
Episode. The fridge. Yes.
I was going to talk about the fridge too.
Go for it. You go.
No, I just wanted to say, do not skimp on your fridge, whatever you do. It is
the first thing to be cut.
Box. Yeah. It's the first thing to be cut. Yeah. But it's not just a cool box behind the door. It is the most important appliance in your kitchen. And I would like to throw some statistics out, but I do not remember them. But it was a crazy percentage of food waste in the country comes from households where the refrigeration, the cooling system is not good enough, so food just rots. And that ends up in the bin. So that's a waste for environment, but also waste and a strain on your family budget. And that's just completely necessary when it's a small investment of, let's be realistic, maybe a couple £100 when you're getting the kitchen. But that could save you like literally thousands over the years. A good refrigeration, good freezer box. Yeah.
So having a good, I've got one of the higher end fridges of a normal person's range of budget, not kind of one of these 6, 7, 8, 10,000 pound ones, but a built-in fridge, and it's got some of the technology in there that controls the humidity. It's silver lined as well, so antibacterial, and it just keeps food fresh for so long. And when I moved and left my last one behind, I remembered how quickly food goes off.
Yes,
in an inadequate fridge, and checking dates is a thing of of the past. I don't rely on a day. It is purely look, smell, and taste.
Which is how it should be, really, but that's a whole different topic.
But keeping fruit and veg fresh for weeks on end. I mean, cucumber in this example is the one I always go back to.
Yes.
Adjusting to cucumbers being okay was a big thing. So I ended up with lots of half cucumbers thinking, you know, I keep needing to buy a new cucumber. Did not need to. I know, so many cucumbers because they'd last, you know, easily between 4 to 6 weeks beyond the date that was on there. And you can actually finish these foods. You're not having a big food waste at the end of the week going out. So yeah, reducing your budget overall and
I agree.
Really, really good.
I agree.
And something that should be invested in and spoken about more.
Yeah, that is a big topic, very overlooked. But I do agree. And I had the same experience. We got a very cheap, not cheap, but like a fridge based on aesthetics when we lived in our apartment. We really wanted type of a Smek fridge, but we didn't have the money. So we got like a Schmleck fridge. And it looked really nice, but then inside it was not adequate at all, and it was constantly overstocked and all of the food was going off. And then now we have this, it's not a built-in, but this enormous fridge of a very big brand we just filled it up. We just filled one drawer with what we had in the previous fridge, so that was fantastic. But also food, as you said, lasts forever, and it doesn't smell. No, because again, food is not rotting in there.
Something my niece commented on when she visited us. She opened up the fridge and said, "Oh, your fridge doesn't have a smell." It's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah. If your fridge has a smell when it is on, then it's probably not a good fridge. Yes. Can we put that out there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless something is actively, if you have a piece of blue cheese in there rotting away, then probably.
Yes. But so you might want a container for that.
Yes. Anyway, so we went through all the appliances.
I hope that was useful. Appliances is a topic that we will definitely come back to, and hoping to get some people who do some of the cooking demonstrations up and down the country who deal with varying brands and just talk about those functions in a bit more depth so that you get the right investment for your kitchen, really.
Yeah. And that's what the Home Improvement Podcast is all about.
Indeed.
Right.
Thank you very much. Do subscribe and share and support. Send in anything you want us to talk about and listen to our next episode next week, which will be about utilities and bootilities.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us and listening to HIP, your home improvement podcast by Lima Kitchens. We hope you enjoyed the topics we discussed today. Feel free to hit like, share and subscribe to get details on further topics we will be discussing. If you have any topics you'd like us to address and talk about directly, please feel free to send them through. We'd love to hear from you.